importance of the sustainability of us retaining our traditional ways of doing things. So there has been a number of things that have been proven, a number of innovations and development to indicate that ways that our ancestors have survived over the years through the practices that have been used through indigenous systems, indigenous methods of how they survived. So I'm really excited, and I know that many of you have interest in seeing where this is going. So I'm going to give you some brief into what we're going to discuss and also introduce our beloved panel who were very, flexible to join us, since we had a number of challenges with those that could come from other parts of the continent that we really needed them to be here, just to indicate the diversity of how other countries are doing it besides South Africa. Because we believe that this session is not only for South Africa, it's a session that is for the African continent, and we'll centralize it across that to see what developments can be made and what more can be made. How far have we come with our traditional or indigenous knowledge system innovations, technology innovations, to ensure that we improve our economy and we go and include other people that are marginalized. And we're looking at people in the rural community, most of all, people in the townships, people that may not know of the potential of what these technologies and innovations can do. So I'm excited to actually talk about what government and what research institutions are doing to elevate this particular sector that is under-realized. There's so much potential that we want to make it be known for our young generations that are coming, and also for those that are still to come that can use this for our economic development. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a panel of speakers that are going to give us an introduction of what they're going to talk about. May I say that indigenous knowledge technology innovations are diverse in various sectors. It can be in renewable energy, it can be in healthcare, agriculture, and many other sectors that we don't know, but our panel are going to introduce what sector they represent for socio-economic development. So on our panel, we have Prof. Sichaba, and he's from the CSIR, and we also have Celia Bester from the ARC, and we also have Prince Msomi from Prejab Biotech. I'm going to give each of them 10 minutes and just to give you an insight of what they're doing, and I will really get you to talk to them and also tell us about what you do. I really want you to also be part of the discussion, talk to us about other things that you're doing and what you are foreseeing and where you're going with this discussion. So I really encourage you to be part of this. It's going to be a conversation that I really need you to be fully engaged on. So first off, Prof. Sichaba, can you get started with just introducing yourself and also just indicating what you're doing just for 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll move on to a Q&A. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sichaba. Surname is Baresen. I'm from the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research under the Advanced Agriculture and Food Cluster. So what we do at the CSIR, our focus is on indigenous knowledge systems at the CSIR. For those who don't know what the CSIR is about, we are the government institute. We focus primarily on research, technology development, and implementation. We report to the Department of Science and Innovation. So our mandate is clear in terms of the Scientific Research Act. We are mandated to conduct a multidisciplinary research in collaboration with various stakeholders within what you call the National System of Innovation, from the universities, other science councils, private sector companies, and also most importantly, the local communities or communities. So when it comes to indigenous knowledge system, the focus is on research and development. So we have 3 focus areas. First one is on community engagements. and the protection of indigenous knowledge and linking that to access and benefit sharing in line with the South African legislative framework. 2 is to conduct the bioprospecting research to investigate the traditional uses of medicinal plant species with application to health, food, and cosmetic. And 3 is technology transfer for the establishment of community enterprises, especially when we enter the commercial space. We use community enterprises such as like the community cooperatives or even private sector individual. Use that as a vehicle to get the products on the market. That's our major focus. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Now we'll go to you, Cecilia Bester.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Cecilia Bester from the Agriculture Research Council, and I'm based down in Stellenbosch at the ARC Infrutech Netvoerbij Institute. We are focusing on research on deciduous fruits and wine grapes, but we also have some focus on indigenous crops, especially on the fynbos, where we look at proteas as well as the indigenous tea. And my specific focus is one of our indigenous tea, namely Honeybush, which is maybe less known by everybody as the more familiar one than rooibos. I'm actually trained as a geneticist and therefore a plant breeder, but as life happens, you get involved in all different other aspects as well. So I'm getting more involved in the horticultural aspects of Honeybush, and from that it flow out from my breeding program. I need to get my my breeded plants and the more better quality plants out into the farm sector. And one of the things how I decided to do it is to commercialize it through communities. And that's how I end up in community development. And that is where I'm currently working in 4 communities and focusing on the honeybush. And we have currently 4 small SMMEs registered, and with one focusing on producing seed, and the other 2 on nurseries where they grow the seedlings, which they sell to the farmers. And lastly, the 4th community is focusing on planting plantations themselves. And the 4 have now also learned that they are dependent on each other and how they fit together in the value chain, so they work closely together. And I started about in 2009 on Honeybush, so I learned in the few years quite a lot. And the Honeybush is grown basically in the Western Cape and the Southern Cape, and it was traditionally used by the Khoi and the San people. And although it was used for health purposes as well, lately the most focus is on the use as a beverage, similar to rooibos, but we also have done the research, and we know there is several health properties in this honeybush. We know it is high in antioxidants. For the people that is concerned about caffeine, there's no caffeine, it's low in tannins. And then we also determined there is anti-diabetic and anti-cancer properties. So drinking this tea is making a difference, is healthy than many of the other beverages people are taking. So in all, I work with the communities, and I must say I enjoy it. And I was just thinking this morning on how far we have come when we started about 10 years ago, and how much we have learned in this state. So using the indigenous knowledge from the people, getting an end product, and there is an industry formed, the honeybush industry, So we have made a lot of progress with this indigenous crop, and there is a great future, I think, ahead, so we can grow it still a lot and to be an important part of one of our agriculture crops in South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cecilia. Really, really quite a lot of work you do there. I'm quite interested to know more, but we'll move on to you, Prince, to give us an insight on your work towards product development, indigenous knowledge system innovations. Thank you.
Thank you so much. My name is Prince Msomi, the founder of Project BioLife Biotechnologies. Normally, I will get a question, why PREJEP? PREJEP is coming from the combination of my name, PRI, and JEP comes from the name of my grandfather. This is indigenous knowledge that I got from my grandfather. In 2005, he gave me this knowledge, the medicine that was keeping him healthy. The old man never really got sick like many other people in the family, and he lived up until the age of 103. So, because I have a background in biotechnology, I asked him, why are you not getting sick? And he said, if you don't believe me, this is the product that is keeping me so healthy for so many years. And then I got interested. I started giving it to other people, my friends, my family, relatives. And today, we have worked with the CSIR, Prof. Sichaba here. He knows where we come from. We started knocking at those doors at CSIR in 2011. I think we got a research funding in 2015, 2016. Then we started really looking at what the products entail. What are the phytochemicals that are in this product? Why it is so good? Because the product itself, it was used to help people that are suffering from HIV and AIDS and other ailments. Up until today, we are still working, but we are happy where we are, that the immunomodulatory effects that are in the product have been proven. The anti-inflammatory, it has been proven. Your antioxidants in the product, and these things are really showing that this is a good product. A person like me who started using it in 2005, when I look at my age and then I look at how I look when I check my mirror, I realize that really my grandpa was not lying to me. So this indigenous knowledge, it's really working. It is just a matter of how to commercialize it so that as many of our people, they can get something that is working. Because there is a lot of competition when it comes to indigenous knowledge. But most of it is all about anecdotal evidence. We really need products that have been tested. Government has spent a lot of money investing in these projects, so they need to be commercialized in a very systematic way, so that our people they can actually get products that are really working. So right now the company is manufacturing a herbal product, which is liquid, but recently we've finalized process technology to produce capsules with CSIR. We are producing the product at the Innovation Hub. We are also incubated at the Innovation Hub. So whatever we do, it is actually looking good. We are trying by all means to follow all the right procedures and the right processes, so that when we go to market, really this indigenous knowledge can be well accepted. Let me stop there for now. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much, Prijab. Biotechnology is really quite insightful, and I think your story is one to be told in terms of where you started and the where you're going and the realization of where this potentially can go. I really think you are one person to be aspired towards other people that are coming in making sure that this knowledge gets commercialized. Ladies and gentlemen, I realized that when I started, I never introduced myself. I think simply because I wanted my fellow panelists to introduce the great work that they are doing, because mainly they are gonna make the facilitation of the discussion points. But my name is Puti Chilapom Kopozi. I work as an innovation specialist as well as an acting senior manager at the bioeconomy unit in the Innovation Hub. And Prijab just mentioned that he is incubated at the Innovation Hub. He is currently in our incubation program called the Biopark, which is one that I'm leading, and I'm really excited that he's one of those indigenous knowledge system medicine-based product that we are happy to support and to see a way forward. One of the things he mentioned is the systematic way to ensure that products get commercialized, especially from African traditional medicine. One thing that is important is also regulations, and ensure that processes are in place and validations are done. There will not be claims without scientific validations. And I'm really grateful that our panel mentioned the great work that they're doing in terms of ensuring that this validation is going on. But mainly this is for socio-economic development, for people that may not be aware and see the opportunities that can be found out of this. I really also want to highlight what the Minister, Blake Nzimande, mentioned yesterday with regards to where this particular sector is going. And the fact that there is a summit, there's a summit institution, BRICS institution that is planned to be placed here in South Africa is going to be a big thing, and it's one of the things that IKS will play a huge role in. And the other thing is, I'm one of the people that are very passionate about this, and the fact that this will be quite wide, not only in medicine, not only in agriculture. I think one of the things that are exciting is the fact that there's also potential in energy. But one other thing I want to mention is the sector of longevity. I can tell you that Prijab is one of the people that I looked at. I cannot believe his age at this moment, but there is a sector opening up on Afro-longevity, so be on the lookout for those opportunities that products can be found from traditional base that can lead to a longer life and heal aging. Apparently, that's something that's new that I've learned, which is going to be exciting and it's going to open quite a lot of paths. But it's just something, a side note. But just going back to my panelists, I just want to start with you, Sichaba, and I'm happy that you mentioned the fact that you, in agriculture as well as in healthcare. The thing that I really want to check is, can you also give an indication of real particular products in addition to Prijab? I know Prijab is one of the people you're supporting, but what are those real intended work that the CSIR is working on and the programs to ensure that you are supporting this tech innovation for socio-economic development from the Innovation Hub. I mean the CSIR, my apologies.
No, thank you so much, the Chair. At CSIR, we have generated quite a number of case studies around indigenous knowledge systems with regards to the use of medicinal plants in healthcare or even food. So, but I just want to focus on one particular case study which is very close to my heart, that involves the traditional health practitioners in research and development and commercialization at the CSIR. So, CSIR is approached by a number of traditional health practitioners in connection with a panel of traditional medicine products which they use to treat various diseases. So, and one of the reasons why they approached the CSIR first is to generate the scientific data to substantiate the traditional uses of their products. That's number one. Number two, they want to register their products so that they can be readily available across South Africa, even outside the borders of South Africa. Number three, they want to be entrepreneurs to enter the market and become competitive, right? So, and based on those primary reasons why the traditional health practitioners approach the CSIR, we then conceptualize a program, and we titled Scientific Research and Product Development in Support of Traditional Health Practitioners in South Africa. Then we approached the Department of Science and Innovation with an idea, not a full proposal, just a concept document. And then we explained why there's a need for this particular program. So, based on our discussions with the Department of Science and Innovation, articulating exactly what we want to do, that is to standardize plant-based traditional medicines, and by developing safe quality products that can be commercialized while in the process providing the necessary capacity building to be able to commercialize their products. Then we developed a full proposal, and eventually it got approved, but it took a long process, like about 2 years, because it was really one of the unique projects in South Africa which was never done before. Then eventually we got the funding, and now was like, now how do we select? In fact, the department says, okay, let this be a pilot project. Okay, fine. And then the challenge was, how do you select the traditional health practitioners to become part of the program? We then sent out a call, set up a committee, and then reviewed the applications based on the specific criteria that we had developed, which was around the market potential, which was very important, the technical feasibility. Those were very important criteria. And then we selected 6 out of that, and then Prijap was one of the beneficiaries of the program, and the Machaba Hab. Also, if you go to the exhibition hall, you will see them exhibiting the product. So through that project, and then we partnered with the Innovation Hub to provide training around entrepreneurship through their coach lab, because that's not the CSIR space. We focus on the science. So what we did was to substantiate the traditional uses using our R&D capabilities, and then we came up with different product concepts which the traditional health practitioners really expressed. Some said, no, I want an iced tea. others expressed the petroleum jelly, others capsules and sachets. So they were really became involved into the whole R&D process, and as well as product development, as including the design of the packages which they wanted to do. And then the innovation hub came in providing the entrepreneurship and the business development training, and they came out there with registered businesses, and some of them they got incubation support, looking at the market potential for their products. And this is one of the classical projects that actually CSIR really made an impact within the traditional health practitioner sector, because in South Africa, African traditional medicines are not regulated, and which is shocking to us. Only pharmaceutical drugs, complementary medicines, Chinese traditional medicines, Indian are regulated in terms of SAPRA's requirements. So this project was used mainly as a case study to start the conversations, to say, because you can't really commercialize your products in the upstream market if the regulations are not there to enable the product to perform and to compete. So, but I'm glad that now there are now conversations at SAPRA around the requirements to regulate African traditional medicines. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. One fascinating thing is just the empowerment that you are providing to these practitioners through this case study. And I think this is something unique that I'm glad we're an institution such as the CSIR, which is known for its strong research potential, research capability and technologies that they offer to people such as Prijab and many other traditional healers, indigenous knowledge holders. So something of key is also the fact of regulation that I think even the minister touched on, the fact that there is conversations with SAPRA to ensure that there is some forward going in this sense. But one aspect that I want to bring forth is also including the fact that our traditional healers are based in communities, various communities I may say, and we wouldn't know who you're empowering, but communities need to have indigenous knowledge. And I'm coming to this with the fact that there has been a story recently on rooibos. I'm not sure if you may know about it, the fact that there was a benefit agreement with the rooibos tea as well as the Khoisan community that got empowered, and they were given a lot of money from the work that has been done, the market that they've reached globally, because they were not recognized as the people that started that whole market and that whole rooibos that belongs to one particular technology. And I'm coming to this simply because Celia is working on honeybush tea, which something quite related to the benefit that rooibos does. And I think this is one of the tea as well as the herbal infusions that are not realized. And it's an example that I believe Honeybush is almost coming to rooibos, and I would like for you to kind of look into an aspect of indicating, Celia, if you may, with regards to what you mentioned on the honeybush tree, the next steps, and also just the attraction of the benefits that honeybush tea gives to people and the potential that it can have in empowering a community where that honeybush stems from, like it's well cultivated from either the methods or whatever you've provided. I hope you can give us that aspect.
Okay, maybe on the first thing about the access and benefit sharing, like you mentioned, rooibos. We are on several indigenous crops. I know the Department of Forestry, Fisheries and Environment is busy negotiating with these things. Currently, the honeybush industry is involved. I attended the first meeting that we have with the Khoisan Council a month or two ago. It was in August, beginning August, where we talked and we each said what we expect from the negotiations and where we want to go. I'm not on the negotiation panel, so this was just an open meeting, so the negotiations will now go forward and to get to also the agreement on how the access and benefit sharing will be. So we will soon have that also in place. Then secondly, how Honeybush benefits our communities. Many of the communities is in areas where there's not much job opportunities. If I think now, I'm working in the Tsitsikamma area, and that area is basically focused on forestry and tourism. And one of the communities I recently talked to, they mentioned that 75% of the people in their community is jobless, and about 50% is relying on social grants. And we have in that community specifically already, with the nursery that we have, created 9 jobs. So there's 9 people more that have now jobs. And we are also looking in expansion from the nursery. We are busy planting also plantations. And we know on the next step, we all in discussion as well, is to get a type of processing in place where the communities, especially on a small scale, can process their product. Because normally our big processors, they required about a ton wet biomass, and these communities may produce less than that at a stage. So then they don't know where to go with their product, and big processor says, but they need a ton, they can't run the processing for just 300 or 400 kilograms. And that's where the ARC with their agro-processing research has developed a technique that you can process on a small scale. And we are busy currently with the upscaling of it. We have done it successfully for 10 kilograms. But we want to upscale it to, say, about 100 kilograms. And then the process is also shortened, so you can do the processing, say, in 4 hours, where the normal processing can take 24 to 48 hours. So that will make it also that the people can, especially with the load shedding, you can hopefully get your full processing completed before the next load shed comes along, because that is currently a big problem also for our processors, because somebody must come up, get up at night to make sure that the backup generators are running, or that when the electricity comes back, things are up and running again. So that is some of the future things we are doing. And as the health benefits, yes, we have done the trials with the Medical Research Council up till where we have done the rats trials, and we saw the anti-diabetic and the anti-cancer. Our constraint now is to get funding to do the clinical trials. So unfortunately, we can't put the claims on our tea boxes, because it is not through clinical trials, and you probably need to drink quite a lot of tea to have the benefit. But if we can get pharmaceuticals involved, then we can get it on as medicine on our shelves. So that's also things the ARC is currently working on, with collaboration of other research organizations or universities. So as I said, I think our industry, if we compare with rooibos, which is more than 100 years old, we are 25 years old, so we are young in that sense. But we are getting along, and I think we've learned a lot in this past couple of years to get it from a wild harvested product to getting it commercialized, even though about 80% is still wild harvested. So there's a lot of potential for expansion to commercial production, and so that we can conserve our natural populations and plants in the wild. So that is one of our other drives, is to look at the conservation of this natural plant. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Highlighting the importance of where they're going, no claims can be made without any approval, or because that you cannot put any claims on the packaging. Really important that you mentioned that. And also just the aspect of clinical trials. I know there's a session on clinical trials. That is another aspect that is normally going towards regulation of where these products are going. And thank you so much for highlighting those. And I do want to mention that the session and these products are currently shown. There's some products on Honeybush tree. I'm not sure if it's under you. I know there are some of entrepreneurs here that are currently showcasing their product at the Department of Science as well as Innovation in the exhibition hall. So if you want to go see some of these products, including Prejab, please go there and see what they are and how they are packaged, and see if you can get a sale in terms of where what you can learn from those products. So I really think that's an aspect that people can look out, that there are products currently that are being sold mainly for these benefits, such as that like health benefits that cannot be put on claim, but they do have those benefits. So just want to prepare you, the candidates, and just to indicate that many of these support as well as research that has been done by the Department of Science and Innovation, who also support the Coach Lab Entrepreneurship Program that the Innovation Hub has to empower even the local communities, rural communities, as well as traditional healers towards learning on business and entrepreneurship and learning how to have your market strategy and where you can potentially go as an entrepreneur, just to empower you. And I want to come, and know we don't have a lot of time left, and I want to prepare you. If you have a question, please get ready. And just might give you question or one question just with the time that's left. But quickly, Prejab, if you can just indicate, because I know the part about IKS knowledge, there's a protection and there's a particular way that needs to be done. I spoke about benefit sharing where communities do benefit, but there's another way of preserving this knowledge in a way that it will not be divulged. There won't be piracy that has been done by many pharmaceutical companies with regards to certain knowledge that was taken from community without acknowledging them. So I just want to understand with you quickly in terms of IP of your product and protection of your products, and also market access. And one aspect why I mentioned this is that there will be a specific community, but if you have all this support and packaging, you can access even a bigger market, and that's important for entrepreneurs to know. So I just want you to just touch on those IP as well as access to market, how far you are with those, while I give the candidates just time to prepare their questions before we finish the session. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Before I came to CSIR, when I wanted the product to be researched, the first thing that I did, I went to a very good law firm. I didn't want to divulge my plans or the plans that we were using without protecting them first. So we do have a patent when it comes to the plant combination. We were talking with Prof. Sichaba the other day that with the new technology, because a lot of scientific data has been generated using our products, do we need to register a new patent now or what? Or we can just keep it a secret like Coca-Cola or KFC. So that is another subject for another day. But we know that the plant combination has been protected. I think my patent is expiring in 2030, something like that. Then the subject that you are talking about now, it's market access. That is an interesting and a very difficult one. Because in the market right now, when it comes to herbal medicine, there is a pushback when it comes to African traditional medicine. But when you go to Discam or Clicks, you find some products that are claimed to be herbal, traditional, and when you check the packaging, it is clearly stated that this product has not been evaluated by SAPRA, but it is selling. It is all over Discam, all over the country, and when I come in to say that I have a product that has gone through scientific studies, yes, it is not registered with SAPRA, but there is a problem when I come. Now, I will be asked, this is market access now, I will be asked, is it registered with SAPRA? The question is no, and then the conversation ends there. We cannot continue because my product is not registered. But other companies, they are able to go in. So this is what our government also needs to look at. Why others can be taken up, and then why others can't. So this is the challenge that we face as the manufacturers of the indigenous knowledge products. Thank you.
Thank you. Great, important point to raise out there in terms of the access and understanding of what's required for market to be reached in various ways with the particular knowledge that you have, and how we can expand ourselves and find this product in the retailers and let it be inclusive for all. I just want to check before I ask my concluding remarks or finalization of the session, if there's any question or any comments from the audience. I see a question right at the back. If there's a roaming mic for someone to go. Oh, thank you.
Good afternoon. I have a question for Dr. Bester. I'm Hala from Technology Innovation Agency. Just to maybe understand, you're saying you want to grow the industry, but if my knowledge is correct, Honeybush only grows in the Langkloof. So has the ARC maybe taken an initiative whereby, sorry, my English ran away, whereby you are breeding a cultivar that can grow outside of the traditional area so that you can quickly expand into the market? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have you had the question, Cecilia? Yes, like a cultivation method. I'm sorry.
Okay, yes, thank you for that question. You know, honeybush is a fynbos plant, and it only grows in the fynbos area. Now, fynbos plants are adapted to grow in poor soil, which means it's not very nutrient-rich. So yes, we can try in areas outside of the natural areas to see if it grows there and how it do under cultivation. And we had just that discussion earlier this morning. The current other thing, I think one of the other things is recently also with the rooibos happened is the geographic indicator. That means if you have the GI indicator, that geographic indicator, it means, I think we all familiar with the champagne and the feta case, that if it's not produced in that area, you may not call it champagne or you may not call it feta. Now the same is with rooibos, now with the GI registration, if it's not grown in the rooibos area, and it means it must be grown in the rooibos, it must be processed in the rooibos area, and it must be packaged in the rooibos area. So if it haven't been done there, then you may not call it rooibos on the when you sell it. And we are in the process as well with the registration of for the GI for honeybush. So what will happen in the end, even if you can grow it in Limpopo, you will not be able to sell it as Honeybush. So then you will have to come up with another name for it. So so in a year or two, we will hopefully be also registered, and then then we must think of we really want. So currently we don't produce outside, so I don't test outside the Fynbos area. And basically, I haven't mentioned it, it is grown from the Ceres area, basically along the coast up till to Port Elizabeth or Quebec. I'm still struggling with all the new names, but so that is where it is the growth area. So if you plant it a bit further away or you plant it in other areas, then we will have the problem of the name Honeybush.
All right. Thank you so much, and I really think great point, and also a question. I hope your question is answered. Ladies and gentlemen, there is going to be a session, I believe, that's going to get started, but I just want to know, is there any pressing matter we can just conclude? Anything, going once or twice? Okay. With that, I really want to thank you all, and also the esteemed panelists that just gave the great points on this important topic on African traditional indigenous knowledge system towards socioeconomic development. And what I want to conclude is, on this particular session is that what I believe, and knowing that there would be discussions on this particular area, it would be great to know that there's a way forward going. And with the remarks that had been given on the panel, what's important is to understand that there are different stakeholders playing different roles, and what needs to happen is to understand the whole full value chain of what this African traditional innovation, technology innovation can potentially go, especially in the aspect of health and medicine that we spoke about. And it's important that government as well as industries do coordinate to ensure that entrepreneurs are well supported, or even indigenous knowledge holders are well supported to see the full realization of their innovations. And with that, role player mapping that needs to be in place. And one thing that we have to work and strive towards is to ensure that there is an integration or the institutionalization of African traditional medicine into our healthcare system. And that means that understanding that, looking at examples that were given like China as well as India, seeing that their medicine are currently in the market, that a consumer has a choice to see whether they want to consume traditional medicine or pharmaceutical medicine that have been synthesized in the lab and have gone through the role. So you would have a choice to see whether you want to have your traditional medicine or your doctor could prescribe African traditional medicine. And I believe that's where we are going with all the support and great help that we're getting, and even the full realization of infrastructure that's required, that I believe the minister mentioned that we're going to have a great infrastructure brought by BRICS, which is quite exciting, and the fact that there are association with the World Health Organization, and we have experts that are contributing to this World Health Organization to ensure that African traditional medicine innovations do get to see their full realization and the potential of what they can play in our economy. So with that, I really want to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and our panelists, and we move on to the next session. And you can give us a round of applause, and thank you for your attention.